somebody share out to the big group, you know, whether it's what you're learning or what are the implications for your work. And then Mark will take us into the finish line. So, who'd like to? Tracy?
I'm being told that I'm doing it.
All right.
She does that so well.
She does.
Now the pressure's on.
You live in Boston, you can do anything.
I don't know about my brain's foggy still. Ultimately, it's to help our students move to independence, and using these not only for our information. One of the key pieces we all really liked was like a running record. What are our noticings while they are working on their on-demand assessments, so that we can use all of this, the baseline data, so that we can see how they're growing, but also shifting that to them to help them see how they're growing, and getting them to think about what are they noticing about their initial work to their later work as they go on through the year. That's kind of a lot.
Yeah. No, that's good. You know, it speaks to being more aware. It's as teachers having an awareness of where our students are at, and as learners, really having an awareness of where we're growing as writers and being able to articulate that. Yeah. So thank you. Mm-hmm. And how about this group? Who'd like to just
Articulate.
Articulating our learnings.
Yes. And it can be either of those.
Well, we kind of talked about implications. Here we talked about whether you give all three pre at the beginning of the year, or do you give it pre before each unit? And Lucy suggests giving the pre at the very beginning of the year. So you do narrative, opinion, and informational. And when we did that, we kind of talked about to each other and said, really? And so we did it. But now we just talked and said maybe, you know, it's okay to do a pre before each unit, pre and post. But we didn't realize about the 3 post at the very end of the year too. So we talked about that. And these ladies talked about how they kind of incorporated some smarter balance types of things for assessments, and our district has talked about that too, because we almost need to do that also to get our kids, even though they're in first grade, start to introduce them to what does that look like. So we talked about that and incorporating that also as part of an assessment. The learning, we talked about that an on-demand is part of a grade or an assessment, that you also have their formal or their summative, I guess, which is what they've worked on the whole time across that time. So anything else you want to add?
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. There we go. Okay, so actually that's a perfect segue into, well,
You want this or no?
I do, but
We've got.
Yeah.
2 minutes. So
Yep.
please reflect on what we've talked about. And I'm terrible at that, and I try not to shortchange that. But I guess I have. So I did include your day 4 resources. So Nellie's PowerPoint, Lynn's PowerPoint. Now, perfect segue from what you were just sharing. These are right out of the Writing Pathways book. I think my Muskegon colleague, she pulled these out, and so this will take you right to those writing prompts. So you might be wondering what's in the MESA unit, what's in this or that unit. It's all very much of the same likeness. I will tell you, in the MESA unit specifically, 3rd through 12th grade, those on-demands, I believe, I'm not positive, I can't say with 100% surety, but I believe they're intertwined. But it's going to be very similar to what you see here. I know specifically for K2, there's a separate packet, I think at the beginning of Unit 1 for each grade level, for K1 and 2. If you go to Unit 1 for those, you will see this packet, which will give you those prompts. You just talked about your performance-based to be Smarter Balanced like. The Teachers College has that, and that's right here. So she has done kindergarten, first grade, and second grade. And it's just this little article, and it's a little prompt, and it encourages the kids to write around it. It gives you the article, it gives you the video, and that's K through 8, I believe.
And Lucy has that?
Lucy has that right there. Yeah. So if I were to click on it, it'd be a little folder. You click on the year, you click on the grade, you click on the results. It gives you the rubric. It gives you the articles that it suggests. So if it's informational text, it might say, watch this video, use this. It's there. And some of them, I believe, have even a writing sample. So, and there's more other things. So you're wondering, like, what might we use as a rubric? So there's different rubrics I've linked to. Here's some samples of student annotated work as well. So if you wanted to see what's maybe... I don't know about Smarter Balanced being all, but I think the New York City does. But Lucy's are the different levels. She doesn't do grade levels. She does the levels, but they equate. So, yeah.
Okay, so like a level 1, what does that mean?
Probably, I'd have to look at it, but usually it's...
Lucy's levels are tied to those rubrics, I believe.
Right.
The performance assessments.
So it's you're going to actually get a chance to grab one of those, so you'll see what the rubrics look like as well. We do have the dates set, and we've put them at the bottom for next year for our meetings. So the dates are set for next year. For this. So
Do we sign up? How do we?
it will send out an email and all of this, but Nellie, so part of the Title I planning, even though this doesn't have a cost, but except for your own personal time, but your district can actually write it into your school improvement plan now because we have it on the books. So if there was a stipend conversation or a mileage reimbursement conversation to be had, just saying, then possibly they could write it in there. But we're not charging you. I know.
Do we sign up or just show up?
Either or, but there will be an email that goes out to sign up. We'll send out a flyer. So, all that being said, the other thing I want to encourage you to consider, I am trying very hard to recruit for facilitators from Kent County. We have had over 2 years at this Mesa work, maybe 5 people from Kent County, if you can believe it. All of you have a story to tell. All of you have had an opportunity to teach each other. And I just want to encourage you to really consider it. It's, I believe, a $300 stipend, free hotel for the week. It is 3 days. It may change to 4 days next year, but I don't think so. I think we're going to be on 3 days. You don't have to do that, but you get a chance to meet with the leaders in the other counties and get to have that conversation around planning. You will learn so much just from that. It's amazing. What I get to see when I go to these facilitator days, I feel like I'm going back to a reunion. And people are like, how's it going? Big hugs and high fives, and it's just amazing the relationships that have been built. This year it's too late to really accomplish that, but just consider it for the following year. And if you have questions around that, or you want to know more, or you're interested but not sure if you qualify or you don't feel like it, the only qualification technically, and we even waiver this based on what people have done, is that you've taught the units or are familiar with basically workshop. So you have a chance to work, you will at least be partnered with someone, and then the two of you at the minimum would be able to walk a group of probably 20. We do a 10-to-1, so there'd probably be 20 educators that would come in, and you would walk them through a scaffolded structure exploring the units. And you, at this point, you would get the choice of focusing just on writing, just on reading, or we do an integrated that talks about how to meld the two throughout. So anyway, food for thought. Please think about it. You are all extremely qualified, but I understand how life is. So if you can't do it, we understand that as well. That's why we're offering these dates next year. So I hope that you'll consider for next year. But, you know, take that, I don't know if it's a challenge or just something to chew on, of keep it in mind. You know, this year, yes, because we've had our 2 facilitator days and we'll be going into the 3rd as far as being a facilitator.
But you can go.
I wouldn't. It isn't so much as a condemnation of your abilities as it is you're going to have to really hit the ground running. I mean, we probably could work you in this year, but you would be overwhelming yourself, I really feel, and I don't want to put you in that position. When I'm talking about being a facilitator, I'm talking about for the summer of 2015.
Okay. The summer, this summer.
This summer,
Okay. Is that still open?
it is. That we would probably accept registrations until a person walks in on that day. However, having said that, we are going to stick to our commitment to our facilitators. So if we do only have 2 for reading for 2nd grade, we would only accept 20 people.
Now, if we decide to go, then we pay them, right?
Correct. If you're going to attend, it's basically $100 a day. So if you do the 3-day Educator Institute, it's $300. There is a writing assessment day on the Monday. We just talked.
Been there last year. It is so worth the money for $100 a day. I cannot, yeah, whichever way you go, whether you go for reading or writing, I went for writing because that's what they offered last year.
Yep.
It was incredible, and I've been teaching workshop for years at that point in time.
Well, Kelly, you went too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really got a lot out of it.
And I'm going back this year for reading, so.
And then you have to pay your hotel on top of that.
I drove every day, no problem.
Did you drive?
I drove it. I had another teacher from my building, we drove it every day. We couldn't stay for the
Sure.
late session, but we drove every day and we had no problem with that. The school even provided us with a car.
Are you serious? Well, that
Yep.
isn't happening, Ron.
I was,
So-
what